There's a question about why Ethiopia was not captured. Okay, I'll be heard me. Okay, I'll tell you why. For me, I'll tell you why. I'll use my own discretion based on whatever I've researched or learned over the years. I think Ethiopia is an old country. One of the earliest, oldest civilization in the world. And Christianity also dominated. The earliest churches can be found in Ethiopia. And we also have Solomonic relations also. One of their kings, King Sheba, married King Solomon.
Right.
Exactly. And apart from that also, even in the Holy Quran, Prophet Muhammad made a statement in the Holy Quran that nobody should disturb the Ethiopians. When he escaped from Saudi Arabia, when he was being persecuted.
Mussolini tried.
Exactly. He got to, Ethiopia. And the king of Ethiopia gave him protection and all that.
You're talking about Muhammad, though. You're talking about Muhammad.
Yeah.
Right?
Prophet Muhammad.
Right.
Prophet Muhammad.
I think she's talking. You're talking about.
They tried. Mussolini tried.
Yeah, that was later.
That was later.
That was later on.
Yeah.
So what actually happened was, I think, when you look at geographically, when you look at Ethiopia, it's closer to the Arab world that the Arabs could have easily taken Ethiopia. But because of what Prophet Muhammad proclaimed in the Holy Quran, the Arabs did not get there.
Right.
So you realize that Ethiopia is predominantly Christians.
Christian, yeah.
It has a large Muslim
Population. It has a large Muslim.
Yes, the fourth holiest place to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
because of that same
Reason.
reason.
Exactly.
And then plus they're supposed to have the Ark of the Covenant,
But then-
which is another protection from God. But it was the king who told them to flee. King,
Prester John?
no,
Lynch,
Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie encouraged them to fight. So they fought for 14 years. That's why they weren't taken over. Because, he told
Mussolini
them.
tried, yeah.
Mussolini tried,
Mussolini.
but
Couldn't.
Haile Selassie encouraged the people to fight. And that's what they did. And
From the
that's how they
battle,
won.
otherwise.
See,
Plus they
interesting.
brought weapons where they brought weapons, guns to fight the Italians, where other African nations didn't have that. They were still using, their natural weapons, where the Europeans had guns. So, you can wipe out more people with a gun than you can.
It was strategy though, because Haile Selassie exiled the country.
Yeah, I heard another side of the story, but I'm yet to research on that. Another researcher told me something about Ethiopia that, when the war started, there was a delegation from Ethiopia to the Vatican
Okay.
to negotiate.
Yeah, that.
Because, it's one of the oldest Christian, but I don't know how through. So I think Mussolini was pushed back a bit by the Catholic or something. I don't know how through that one. I'm doing a research on that, and maybe I'll come out with my findings very
I need to do
soon.
some research then.
First, you had an early battle from Menelik I, which was the Battle of Adwa. It was the first invasion from the Italians in Ethiopia. And then when he drove them back, right, that kept Ethiopia free. And then later on, it was said that Mussolini came back to avenge his grandfather, who was the one that came back to battle Menelik. Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was a revenge.
This was a revenge,
Yeah.
But I think Ethiopia was also split into two, right?
Yes.
One part became Eritrea.
Eritrea. That was after Haile Selassie came
Selassie.
back. And when he came back, the Italians that was still there, he drove them out and gave them Eritrea as a land to have the peace.
Strategy.
Strategy.
Pure strategy.
Yeah. Okay, so there's another history behind this room. Interestingly, when we talk about the European judicial system, this room was a court of justice. But I asked what sort of justice were they administering?
Yeah.
All right, so the thing is, people feel that Africans had no well laid down judicial system. But that's a lie, we had a well laid down judicial system. We saw our traditional leaders as the judges, together with his elders. So before somebody was convicted of a crime, we went through a thorough judicial system before that person was convicted of a crime. But with colonization, that one was kicked aside. So we had to adapt the European court system. So this room developed as such. Today there's no more a courtroom, but an exhibition room for craft and painting. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we'll move on. I'll show you where. All right.
What is this over here?
It's the old sort of ventilation system.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, ventilation system. Yeah.
You're in Del Mar to the huh?
So here you realize that they knew the essence of light and air, but with a captive, because we realize that 1,000 people lived underneath with holes of this size for lighting there. Okay. So let's move on to the governance, please.